Earlier today, Ohio State wide receiver Emeka Egbuka posted on his Instagram that he is returning to Ohio State for next year. This follows a similar post from Denzel Burke yesterday announcing his return. Cody Simon's coming back, Tyleik Williams coming back, Lathan Ransom, Jack Sawyer, Ty Hamilton, Donovan Jackson, Jordan Hancock. A lot of guys deciding that they want to come back. Travion Henderson expected to make his return as well. That has not been announced there. But what does it mean when you hear all of these guys deciding that they want to run it back for one more?
Well, it's smart. It's extremely smart. And in a new landscape of NIL, when you can get money and be paid, you don't have to rush to the NFL, right? And so for me, the reason so many juniors were leaving and people who had another year were leaving is because I have to take care of my family. My family's struggling. I need this money. I need this, right? I'm struggling. I'm hungry. I'm starving. I need to go and live my dream while I have to strike while the iron's hot. And then coupled with that already internal feeling, you got agents who are saying, yeah, you got to go. You got to go. Because it's a win-win for agents, right? You remember talking to agents.
Absolutely.
It's a win-win. If you don't go, they forget about you. If you do well, they get paid. It's a win-win. And so now that's kind of removed because I can get money. Now, you won't be handsomely rich, maybe. Some guys might.
Some guys might.
But you'll be able to make money. You will be able to help your family, and you'll still be able to further your development and develop into the player you probably would have been had you not gone to the NFL early. Now you get a chance to stay with your teammates, be a college student, kind of live in obscurity a little bit. You don't have to deal with all the things that you have to deal with as a grown-up in the NFL, all the political thing of it. It can still kind of be fun for you, right? And so I think that's a big reason why you're going to see a lot of juniors doing it coming back. And for Ohio State, like you always tell me, they've got some unfinished business, and I think they want to finish it.
It's the unfinished business, I think, is a big part of that. And we heard that from guys who returned to Michigan for a few years. And the unfinished business at first was they wanted to beat Ohio State. They wanted to be Big Ten champs, and then they did that. And they realized that they could put together a contender, and that was the next part of the unfinished business. We got to win a damn championship. And I think these guys are looking at an opportunity where none of them have beaten Michigan, and so they want to do that, certainly. But they're also saying, if we run it back with all this talent, we could have a championship-level team as well, considering some of the results from this year, particularly against Michigan, where they're like, we got close, certainly wasn't good enough, but if we could get over that hump, we'll be good to go there. I think it's intriguing, especially with some of the departures earlier in the transfer portal. This might make a little bit of sense with it. Maybe some of those guys felt like veteran dudes were coming back. But you mentioned the money aspect of this and the fact that guys don't feel like they have to go to the league to get paid anymore. And I think NIL is a big part of this. And JT Tuimoloau is still making his decision. I know for a fact that he's asking for a multiple seven-figure type deal to come back. I'm not exactly sure that can get done. I'm not exactly sure that number he's asking for is the number that'll take to get it done. One thing I do know is the evolution of the collective in Columbus is these guys are being compensated. Some of them more than others, obviously. And I think part of this fundraising push was watching your bitter rival run it back.
In the blue corner?
Yes. And I mentioned how many of those guys came back. There was a campaign a year ago.
100%.
100%. In Ann Arbor.
And open, I was like taken aback. Like,
to get guys to come back
for money.
And I think folks took notice of that and what type of team you can put together when you have veterans. And I think this is a big part of it. I think the collective got richer watching the enemy do what they wanted to do.
Yeah, and the thing is, you bring these players back. You have this veteran kind of presence and guys that know what football is all about and can teach the young guys coming up. And it's just much better for college football in general. You just see a better product on the field when the guys are older, they have more reps and all these different things. And so I think NIL, as much as some of it has been bad, that's a good part of why college football is so much better, I think, because of it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a Washington team with Michael Penix, who's, you know, 6-year guy, veteran guy. They don't get there without him. I think they had a few other guys that were 5th or 6th-year players, maybe 8 of them on that roster. And then, of course, the composition of Michigan. And part of this is the benefit of the COVID year, but both of those teams leveraged it as good as anybody did to create a veteran team. They used the NIL funds to get those guys to come back, and you see what happens. Before we get off of this topic real quick, Marvin Harrison Jr. did declare for the NFL draft. That was a no-brainer, and best of luck to that guy. He is going to be a game changer immediately.
And, JP, another thing that Michigan did that I think everybody's going to steal, how about not shelling out so much cash to these recruits?
Yep.
How about you pay the guys How about you pay the guys that have contributed and done such a good job for your team? And that's what Michigan does. And so you can see Michigan's always going to be down in the recruiting. Now, they actively try to get these top recruits, but they're not paying an arm and a leg, 7 figures to a guy who has proven nothing. And it divides the locker room. Wait, how is that guy getting so much money? And I've been bleeding and sweating for the team.